Hello, this is Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech going over the top 10 modern spells, non-creature spells specifically. We are moving into modern season very quickly here. The Pro Tour is coming up. There's some big events going on in the Seattle area and nationally for modern. People are really excited about this format. The recent changes with the ban to Summer Bloom and to Splinter Twin are going to shake things up a little bit. Now, in doing this video, I've done something a little bit different. I'm not just going over the most played cards on MTG Top 8. MTG Top 8 does great statistics to tell you what the current meta looks like. I'm going to try to be presenting that meta, though, with an eye to the future with Splinter Twin gone. And with all of my top 10 lists, you're going to see about 20 cards here. There are a lot of other cards that I sprinkled in here that are incredibly powerful in Modern that we're going to talk about today. The first is these three that have made it as honorable mentions. Dispel is actually percentage-wise way up there. It's really important for the combo decks to be able to win counter wars. I'm not sure how prevalent it's going to be after the banning of Splinter Twin, but it's one to definitely watch. Lingering Souls has been out of favor for a while, and it is an extremely fair card. It does really, really well against robots affinity in particular. This is a card that could make a big comeback in the upcoming modern season. Galvanic Blast is another really powerful card. It's great in some of those aggro decks that can turn that Metalcraft on. The next group of kind of honorable mentions, ones that did not make it onto the list, are Dismember and Slaughter Pack. Both of those are great removal cards that I would watch very, very closely. The reason that I don't have them on the top 10 is I think they were particularly good against Splinter Twin, and they may see less play, but having instant speed removal can be really important. It depends on where the meta goes. Now, the next two that I've got here are two that I would really watch and that I would pick up foils for currently. Atarka's Command and Boros Charm could easily be in the top 10 the next time I do this video. Both of these are incredibly powerful aggro cards that are seeing more and more play every single month. The flexibility of these cards is really strong, and each of these cards, depending on what the board state is, can do more damage than a Lightning Bolt or than other burn spells out there. Very, very good spells. Starting with number 12 here, these are my two most powerful honorable mentions in the 12 and 11 spot. Electrolyze is one that, if I was going over my favorites, would be number 3 on this list. It has been a little bit out of favor. It is a huge advantage tempo card. It's great in control. The ability to play it at the end of your opponent's turn just to cycle it and get some damage in is really, really nice. The full-out version of this is the most beautiful version to look for out there. It is more popular than the original foil versions. We've seen this reprinted a few times, including as a giveaway card in one of the IDW comics. The number of spells out there that can take out 2 creatures at once is actually very low, and there are a lot of really fast decks out there that can drop creatures really quickly. I would definitely give this card a try if you were in blue and red. The number 11 spot here, I've got Kozilek's Command. The popularity on this card just keeps rising every single month. Being able to bring back creatures from your graveyard, such as Snapcaster Mage or Tarmogoyf, is incredibly powerful. Getting your opponent to discard a card during their draw phase at instant speed before they get a chance to play a sorcery, a land, or a creature is extremely powerful. 2 damage kills most of the creatures you want to in aggro decks. There are a few Wild Nakatos running around that this won't kill, but Memnites, Signal Pests, you can hit 2 artifacts in those affinity decks and really cripple them on turn 3. Number 10 spot here, I've got Inquizition of Kozilek and Thoughtseize. I wasn't sure which one to actually put on this list, and it really depends on how the meta shakes out. Right now, Inquizition of Kozilek is more popular. It hits almost everything that's being played except the Tron decks and pieces of the Scape Shift combo. If Tron and Scape Shift become more popular, or even Kiki Jiki, Thoughtseize may make a resurgence. Thoughtseize is just really tough to play at open events or Friday Night Magics because you hurt yourself so much in the burn matchup, having to fetch a Shockland on turn 1 and then play Thoughtseize. You're already down to 15. You're not winning that game. It's really dependent on what is being played, which one of these is better. I'm a big fan of Inquizition if you're playing against those tempo or aggro decks, and against the control decks, Thoughtseize is much better. In the number 9 spot here, I've got an incredibly powerful counter spell. It's Spellsnare. Whether you're on the play or on the draw, being able to shut down your opponent's really powerful 2 casters is essential in Modern, especially for control decks. Whether it's Arcbound Ravager, Tarmogoyf, or Snapcaster Mage, there are so many good targets for Spellsnare to hit. This is an include in almost all blue decks. Wonderful counter spell, 1 blue, counter some of the most powerful cards in Modern. The number 8 spot here, I've got one that's not going to make a lot of other people's lists. It's Gitaxian Probe. Gitaxian Probe is a powerhouse. Knowledge is power. Knowing what is in your opponent's hand allows you to craft a story, to come up with a plan for how to play the rest of the game. If you can play it with cards like Young Pyromancer or Montessori Mentor, you also get creatures and value out of it. Control decks and tempo decks are looking for new ways to win now, and Gitaxian Probe, along with some creature generation, is surely to be part of the winning packages. In the number 7 spot here, I've got Remand. This is a counterspell that just feels good against Tron, against any of those decks that are trying to go over the top. Nothing is more depressing than to finally get to 7 mana, cast Karn Liberated, and have it put back in your hand for 2 mana. If you're playing the aggro plan, Remand is an important tool to stop your opponent long enough for you to kill them. The number 6 spot here, I've got one that's fallen out of favor and I believe is going to make a huge resurgence in this current Modern season. It's Collected Company. Really powerful card. Whether you're looking for Slivers or Knights of the Reliquary or Tarmogoyfs, being able to cast those in duplicate at instant speed is incredibly powerful. This card is extremely reasonably priced right now because it was in the dual deck, a dual deck that also had Windswept Heath. I can see the dual deck doubling in value as both Collected Company and Windswept Heath see a lot of play this next year. Number 5 spot here, I've got your instant speed tier 1 multicolor removal. Abrupt Decay and Terminate are way up there in the most played list. I am a personal huge fan of Abrupt Decay. I like beating blue decks. I like beating control players. The big question, though, is what are you going to need to kill in this environment? Terminate hits Kiki Jiki. It hits Tasigur. It hits Gurmag Angler. Abrupt Decay hits a lot of things that you really need to hit and is great against blue. If Kiki makes a comeback, though, Terminate is going to be the card of choice. If we see more aggro decks and control decks that rely on smaller creatures, Abrupt Decay is the powerhouse. Against a Tarmogoyf that is backed up by counterspells, Abrupt Decay is one of the best answers out there. I would make sure you have a playset of both of these going into Modern season and be able to adapt as the metagame changes. The number 4 spot here, I've got Cryptic Command. And with Splinter Twin out of the environment, there will be more decks that play traditional, powerful control. Even if they have a combo win of Kiki at the 5 or the 6 spot, having a forecaster that can be a time walk, that can be a counterspell draw card, that has this much flexibility is incredibly powerful. Cryptic Command is going to see more play this Modern season than it has in the last few. Path to Exile, great removal. Tier 1 removal. The ability to remove your opponent's creatures at instant speed from the game has always been important, and now is no exception. Path to Exile is higher on this list than the others mentioned because it's one casting cost, it exiles, and it doesn't have some of the restrictions that you run into, like in Abrupt Decay. You can often kill the same creatures and have no fear that they're going to come back for Napoleon's command. The number 2 spot here, I've got Serum Visions. This is the most painful one for me on the list. As a Legacy player, I love Brainstorm and Ponder, and it's difficult to cast this card. But the more I cast it in Modern, the more I realize that card selection for almost all decks, except the real aggro decks, is extremely important. And this is one of the only ways to get to the pieces of your combo or to find the answers that you need in those mid-range control combo fights. Serum Vision is the premier draw spell right now. I would definitely make sure you've got a playset. This is a great card. I don't recommend it in the super aggro or tempo decks because you're slowing yourself down. But if you're looking for particular answers or particular threats, this is the best way to get to them. Any Delver decks, this is the type of thing that you want to play on turn 2 to make sure your Delver flips or that you have the answer you need to protect your Delver. The number 1 spot here, I've got the only card on this list that has been around since the inception of Magic. It was printed in Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited. 1 casting cost, 3 damage to target creature or player. Super powerful card in Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt is a staple in this environment. It is great in control. It is great in aggro. 3 damage hits almost all the creatures outside of Tarmogoyf in the 1 and 2 spot really, really early in the game. If you're playing red, you cannot avoid playing Lightning Bolts. Lightning Bolt's just too good of a card. It's nice to see a card that has been around since the beginning of Magic that is still played in Modern, a wonderful new growing format. If there's anything I missed of your favorite cards for Modern non-creature spells, please leave them in the comments. Whether you're looking to burn people out in the next Modern season or to commandingly take over control of the game, subscribe to the channel for more coverage of Modern Magic. Thanks. This has been Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech. Thank you to everybody who's over there on Patreon supporting the channel. I greatly appreciate it. The Angel tokens are back in stock. Anybody who subscribes at the $5 level will get Angel tokens sent to them. Thank you so much. Take care.